Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. Welcome to day 812. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg sued Jim Jordan to keep the House Judiciary Committee from interfering in Bragg's prosecution of Trump. In a 50-page lawsuit, Bragg describes a transparent campaign to intimidate and attack his office by Jordan and others, calling it an unprecedentedly brazen and unconstitutional attack by members of Congress on the prosecution and investigation of Trump. The Judiciary Committee issued a subpoena last week to Mark Pomerantz, a former prosecutor involved in the criminal investigation of Trump. Bragg is seeking a court order to bar Pomerantz from complying with the subpoena. Meanwhile, Trump appealed a judge's order requiring Mike Pence to testify before the grand jury that's investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Trump is seeking to narrow the scope of the testimony that Pence will have to give a grand jury, while also accusing the DOJ of attempting to destroy the long-accepted, long-held constitutionally based standards of attorney-client privilege and executive privilege. Trump has lost several attempts in courts to block other top officials from his administration from testifying based on claims of executive privilege. Moving on, Biden formally ended the COVID-19 national emergency, which was first enacted by the Trump administration in 2020. Biden signed the bipartisan congressional resolution behind closed doors, despite publicly opposing the bill and saying that it would be a grave disservice to the American people. The end of the national emergency does not, however, affect the public health emergency, which underpins Title 42, the border policy that allows the U.S. to expel migrants from its border without the opportunity for them to seek asylum. That policy is set to expire on May 11th. The coronavirus has killed more than 1.13 million people in the United States and has disrupted the global economy. Speaking of the global economy, the International Monetary Fund downgraded its forecasts for the global economy, noting the recent increase in financial market volatility. The IMF now expects the global economic growth to slow from 3.4% in 2022 to 2.8% in 2023. The IMF also said it expects growth to hover around 3% for the next 5 years, its weakest medium-term growth forecast since 1990. The warning follows a failure of 2 U.S. banks last month and the takeover of Credit Suisse by UBS in Europe. In its latest World Economic Outlook report, the IMF said uncertainty is high and the balance of risks has shifted firmly to the downside so long as the financial sector remains unsettled. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, meanwhile, shrugged off the recent banking turmoil, saying, "I'm not anticipating a downturn in the economy, although, of course, that remains a risk." And finally, take this one with a grain of salt, because we really don't know where to even start summarizing this story about leaked classified U.S. military and intelligence documents. It's a complicated story, so feel free to help us decipher this one, but from what we can gather, more than 100 documents that detail U.S. national security secrets, some labeled top secret or U.S. eyes only, related to Ukraine, the Middle East, and China, were recently leaked on social media. The documents in question are photographs of printed reports from a classified briefing. They appear to have been folded up, put in someone's pocket, and then taken out of a secure area to be photographed. As I mentioned, some of the documents were specifically marked for U.S. eyes only, meaning that it's likely an American official leaked the information. The Justice Department has opened an investigation into the leak of what it calls highly sensitive classified documents. The government's current working theory is that the documents are authentic but were selectively edited before they were leaked. Congress, meanwhile, has requested classified briefings. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.